Welcome to this edition of the Suitcase Sessions podcast. I'm your host, Bob Bowman, and I'm sitting here in the studio with Tom Banks. Tom is from Gadsden, Alabama, and is the executive director of the Mary G. Hardin Center for Cultural Arts. And that's where we're at the moment. So, Tom, thanks for taking some time to talk with me. I've wanted to sit down with you since I arrived. You are a busy guy. You are always on the go.
It keeps things interesting.
Yeah. Well, how about you tell us why we're all here from your perspective, okay, and then, what it was like to prep for this event.
So, in all honesty, before we hosted the exhibition from the National Blues Museum in St. Louis, I guess it was 2 years ago, I really had no knowledge about cigar box guitars and had no idea there was such a huge community of builders and enthusiasts and players. And I was just opened my eyes to that. It was fascinating for me to learn about that. As a fan of music and a fan of all forms of art, I became immediately interested. And through meeting some of y'all during the exhibition, the idea was floated about perhaps a permanent exhibition here in our space. And we were really excited about that. We were in the middle of some renovations then. And so it gave us a good time to plan out where that could be. And then it kind of built from there. And then we had y'all, I think, came for that first exhibition, and then last year for a visit. And then this year we sort of started in earnest, I think, what will hopefully be an annual conference for cigar box builders and enthusiasts. So we're very excited to jump in on this. It's a great fit for us. Our audiences who have seen the exhibition already just love it. It's been great to see the level of interest from all types of people from all walks of life and all ages. We have a lot of children who come through here, and they've been particularly interested in it. So it's been neat to see that. But we just found it very fortuitous that we all sort of hooked up together, and we're so glad to be now a part of the cigar box community.
Oh, I think we're grateful too. And what's fascinating to me is we were here 2 years ago when the exhibit came through from the National Blues Museum, and it's, I think, out in Los Angeles somewhere now. But the museum, the facility here, the Cultural Arts Center, didn't look like it does now. And in fact, it's still got some renovations going on. But the portion of the venue that we had last year was on the second floor, which is now being completely redesigned, that location. And so we were downstairs. We're downstairs now on the first level next to your main stage. You actually put a wall in with a whole new track of lighting and gave us the whole wall for 60 some odd builds.
Well, and it like I said, it fit beautifully in our plan for our renovations. We decided to move all of our free public things. We have a model railroad layout of Gadsden in the 1940s. We had our art gallery space. Those were both upstairs. So we moved those both downstairs on the ground floor so they could be more visible, and passersby on the street now are drawn in to see those things. And so the cigar box guitars were a perfect complement to those two other things downstairs, to be readily accessible and visible to the public. And for this event in particular, it works out beautifully being right there in our performance space, with the stage, as you mentioned, so that you can actually see all the cigar box guitars on the wall while you're enjoying the musicians playing on the stage.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, we've invited, and you've graciously hosted some probably 4 different national and regional acts that perform cigar box guitars, or perform on and with cigar box guitars on the stage. And this particular weekend kicked off your summer series, I think, of your First Friday event. We're at the car show, and we had some 20,000 people in the streets here to see the cars.
Right.
Who then heard a concert for free, who then came in as patrons to enjoy the exhibit that they didn't know was there.
Right.
But, and I can tell you just from being one of the coordinators and standing near the exhibit hall down there, I don't know how many questions I answered about the instrument and how they played. And one particular patron came in with her husband, and she said she played the bass guitar and noticed that there was some bass instruments made out of cigar boxes. And how do these sound? What do they play like? And can I hold one? She picked it up. She started playing. She goes, that's incredible. That's a cigar box.
Yeah, it's
and,
amazing.
And I think we all, to your earlier comment, we all of us didn't know about the instrument. Then we learn about the instrument, and then we want to figure out how to play this thing or build this thing. And then the addiction started.
And it's been in the museum and arts world, particularly since COVID, we've really sort of seen a change to everyone's working to make things more accessible and approachable. The world of fine art exhibitions is still very important. We'd like to host those occasionally, but we're more into things that are approachable to people. And the Cigar Box Guitars also provide a perfect segue. As you said, they drew people in. They had questions about them. Mm-hmm. We've had so many exhibitions before that people had no interest in and walked by and didn't care. These have been a great way to get people in the building and start asking questions about music. And then, perhaps from there, they'll learn that we also teach all kinds of music and art lessons here. And if they're interested in learning how to play the guitar or something else, we can help them with that here. So another way, this is just a beautiful fit for us having the exhibition here.
I happen to personally love the fact that you have it down near your new train layout exhibit of Gadsden in the 1940s, and the proximity with those instruments that the Depression era folks out of work, we affectionately would refer to as hobos, maybe, or rail riders. They would make a cigar box guitar out of something they found and didn't have much money, but they wanted to, pass the time. Yeah. And literally the proximity of that rail, that train set, and I hate to call it a train set. This is a 40 plus foot,
72 feet
72 wide. Foot model of Gadsden, Alabama in the 40s. I love train sets, and this thing's magnificent. But at any rate, they're so close, and there is a connection with those stringed homemade instruments to the folks who, in that time frame, would have been trying to play. And in fact, we had a lot of antiques down there on display this weekend that Mike Breedlove brought in of his personal collection.
Yeah. And there again, I think that's a beautiful thing about the Cigar Box Guitars that I've learned. And it shows human innovation and creativity. But from our world, from the arts, it also shows that perhaps no matter what your circumstance, no matter how bad things might be, people are still affected by the arts and find a way to participate if they can. So I love that about the Cigar Box Guitars.
Yeah, and we were talking this morning as a group about the art in particular. There was by the early 1940s, 50s, 60s, there was some 8 billion wooden cigar boxes in circulation. At that time, there were an additional 2 billion that were everything else, whether they were glass, pewter, what you name it, acrylic, cardboard boxes, which I always love seeing them being sold in an antique store as an antique. They're actually among the newest of the containers. They're not actually antiques, and they somehow want to charge more for those. And they started out as wooden boxes, and then for cost cutting measures were reduced to cardboard because it was easily shipped. But I always find that fascinating, that the King Edward, or Owl brand, or White Owl cardboard box is what you find at the antique stores for $15 a piece or something.
Right.
Anyway, well, Tom, it's really great that you loaned us one of your studios. We're sitting in a drum lesson sound studio that Richard, a member of your staff, I think I learned teaches those lessons.
He's one of our instructors.
And what a great man he is. But this has been fantastic. And your accommodation to the entire group has been stellar. All of us are grateful for it.
That's another wonderful thing I've discovered about this group of enthusiasts. Everyone's so nice, and everyone's just interested in having a good time and visiting with folks. And there's folks from all over who came to this, and y'all have a community where you know each other,
right.
But you also seem to be such a warm, welcoming group of people. Well, it's terrific. Really enjoyed it.
I think that drew me to it as well. And we had somebody here from Fontana, California, some distance, not too far away from Los Angeles, but from California, we have folks who came in from the East Coast, folks from upper Midwest Peninsula in Michigan, all the way from Florida. And of course, a good number of us, as it turned out, this particular trip, probably because of proximity, we're 8 hours in the other direction in St. Louis region, Missouri. We're down, and this is not our first time. We love it here.
Well,
and
we love having you.
We discovered Gadsden, and we're blown away. My wife was upset she couldn't get down here this trip, but we love all the shops, the historic feel to it. This is a great town.
Well, thank you. Like I said, we're just delighted to have you here and hope you come back.
We intend to. I know Mike is already talking about doing that and making this an annual
Terrific.
event.
I'm inspired by all of your energy and Mike's leadership in organizing this and his sponsorship and all of you who've worked so hard to put it together. It's just been terrific.
Well, thank you very much. Well, Tom, I know your time is valuable, and we've spent about 10, 12 minutes here, but I think I'll close the interview there. Thank you for your time again.
Thank you so much.
And to our listeners, this is slightly different. We're not talking cigar box guitars specifically, but the adage still applies. Just remember, there are no rules. Just keep playing, and we'll catch up again later, somewhere down the road.